Hi everyone, we're here talking today with the wonderful Robbie Zein from Zein Educational Consultancy. Robbie is an entrepreneur and she's done an incredible job building businesses, helping expat families really help their kids kind of navigate the treacherous and tumultuous things about moving abroad for the kids. And so today we have a lot of interesting questions to help support expat parents with their kids abroad, as it can be quite a journey.
Yeah, I'm humbled, Karim. Thank you so much for an
you.
intro.
Robbie, I don't know what to say. You're just amazing.
Thank you.
If more people like you in the world would be something else. So.
Thank you. You're too kind.
Navigating new beginnings, how to help your child adjust after moving abroad. Yeah. So, in your opinion, what are the most common emotional challenges children face when moving to a new country?
Okay, so it's a great question. The thing is, we say when children move to a new country, but that also applies to the parents, right? So the parents will be we're just all overgrown children. So it's the same. It's like a ping pong game and the ball bounces back and forth. So yeah, looking at that question, if you move from country to country, if I ask you this, if I bounce it back at you, what's the first thing that would make you anxious about going somewhere new?
Moving.
Yeah.
The new environment.
Right?
Am I going to have a house?
Yeah.
Am I going to have health insurance? Am I going to,
The new environment, it's exactly that. We are by definition creatures of habit, full stop. We humans like the same thing, same place, same time, repetition, right? You see in the morning, you have the same kind of setting for your breakfast. Mm-hmm. Weekends or Sundays, you do the same. We naturally lean towards repetition. Mm-hmm. And looking at us as creatures of habit and then removing us from one environment and putting us in another environment creates that stress. So that's the answer is, it is the environment. First and foremost, it's the environment. Children then have to not only have a new bedroom, a new setting, new house, new neighbors, new school, new language in that country, new way of joking and being accepted in a social system, maybe even a new curriculum if they went from the British school to an international school, so the environment gets shaken upside down. And how to soothe and ease that? It's easy. It is just simply talking about it and not suppressing the emotions involved. So there'll be a lot of tears about why do we have to move, or I miss my old house, or I miss my old friends, but that's good because it means you loved where you were. It's a good thing. I always tell parents this. It's so good if you are crying and your child is crying. You don't want to see families move and go, oh, thank goodness we left at last. We wasted 5 years in that country. Do you know what I mean? You want to cry and grieve the loss of something because it means it gave you something. It means you loved it. So when you see your child crying about moving, it should be encouraged of, oh, sweetheart, I'm so sorry for your pain and your tears. I see them, I feel the same. I also want to cry. I miss my friends there. I miss the smell of the air. I miss that house. I miss the dog we had. I feel you, it's sad, and we will go visit. And let's take a moment and cuddle and talk about it or cry. Let's talk, let's see what can make us feel better. Not suppress no, you don't, it's okay, we don't have to cry about it. You know what, the new place is gonna be great. And that's a distraction from the emotion. We live in this illusion of if you distract the other person from the pain, you fix it. And it comes from a place of love, right? If I stop you from crying, then I'm in this place where I'm thinking, I helped you because I don't want to see you cry. I care for you, right? But that's totally not true, because when you're crying, that means the hurt has already happened. Something has happened that is causing your pain. What you're doing is you're releasing that pain, which is wonderful. That is a natural way of dealing with life. Stuff comes at you, you deal with it. Stuff comes at you, you deal with it. Stuff comes at you, you deal with it. It's a dance. It's not about what comes at you. It's about how you deal with it. So suppressing the crying, stopping the crying, not talking about it, pushing it away and focusing on the beauty of what's about to come your way. Oh yeah, that's beautiful, but we still need to deal with the emotions. They cannot go away. They are there. And you cannot take the pain away. It is already there because you've already moved, or you're already moving, or you're in the process of moving. So the emotions must be dealt with.
So it's
must
very
be dealt
important to
with.
feel the emotions, essentially, is what you're saying.
Exactly, Karim.
Or else they come back to kind of haunt you and
Feel
create
them.
other.
Talk about them. I don't know if necessary, if it's too much, see some counseling. If you don't want counseling, at least at home, cuddle and talk about it. Maybe for little children, I often say, set one day a week. One day. Wednesday is I miss home day. And we're going to talk about life back home and how brilliant that was and how much we miss it. We're going to paint pictures about it. We're going to look at pictures. We're going to cry about it. We're going to laugh about it. That pressure cooker needs to release.
Gotcha.
And if it doesn't release, you're guaranteed depression somewhere along the way. You're guaranteed because there's emotions. And if you don't let out the emotions, what do? You suppress. What is depression? It's depress. You depress, you suppress those emotions. And then people wonder, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with your child? Why are you guys so grumpy? Why are you so explosive? Everything I say, you bite back. There's all these emotions. And we are humans. We're meant to have these beautiful emotions. Happiness, anger, sadness, joy. Cry about it, laugh about it, set a day. And know that it's a journey. You're moving. You're going to deal with the physical stress. Let's deal with the emotional stress too. Let's not neglect the fact that our beings are not just a physical machine.
How can parents identify early signs of emotional distress or culture shock in their children?
So again, I'm going to rephrase this because how can people, I'm not going to say children or adults, because we are overgrown children and they are just as intelligent as we are. The only difference is they lack life experience because they're little, but their intelligence is even, kids can learn 3-4 languages in 1 year.
True.
It takes me like 10 years to learn 2 languages. So, but that said, how can we in general identify those things and how to deal with them? You just said earlier something about schooling, right? And that it touches home. It is one of my deepest desires in this lifetime to make sure that schools worldwide can see this, acknowledge it, and work on it. Because in every classroom, you are going to have at least one child who has moved or is in the process of moving or is about to move. So they're either in the entry stage or the exit stage or the transition stage. And it doesn't have to be country to country, Karim. It could be Leiden to Den Haag. We are living in the Netherlands now, right? It could be city to city, right? It already makes a massive difference. If grandma and grandpa live over there and you grew up your whole life there and you're coming to here, it still is a move. It's still that emotional turmoil. Okay, food maybe is the same and the language somewhat, but it's one step down in regards to the social stress and the way people joke or the culture. However, the environmental change is the same. So knowing this and keeping it in mind, that means that in your classroom or in your household, you may have one or more children who are now dealing with this turmoil, including yourself, one or more adults. You have to also look internally, right? Because I really believe that most children don't need fixing. It is the adults that need healing. I really do believe that. Often you see it in, again, classrooms and groups. There's this teacher and she's looking at the classroom and then she or he might identify, oh, this child, he's not listening. He's always looking out the window. He's not focused or he's interrupting or so on. We jump to conclusions based on our past and what we experience rather than just looking at what we have in front of us.
Projecting, essentially.
Projecting. And if we actually, as adults, really know our past, and I mean really know our past, right? Imagine I am someone who grew up in a family who's constantly fighting and arguing. And I know that I grew up to now, if I hear someone fighting or screaming, I cringe and I pull away. I don't like the fighting. So I am then telling children to constantly lower your voice. I don't want to hear that voice. I want the calm voice. I want this. So this child now is learning that when I do feel a surge of energy, I always have to suppress it. I always have to suppress it because, I need to please this adult who is my role model, mother or father or teacher or whatever. So I need to not show it. I need to just, of course, they're going to choose to want to please you first, then go the other way, right? And this goes on for years until that child is an adult and now they're facing suppression, depression. Do you see what I mean? And now you have a whole, and all of this would be because I, as an adult, didn't take a minute of my time to go back and think, why do I cringe when people want to discuss with emotion? What's wrong with a beautiful, heated discussion? Why can't I hear your opinion and agree to disagree and respect you as the beautiful human being that you are? Why can't I just do that? What's that going to do for me? Just admire what you think. I think differently. That's fine. So you see what I mean? Now I went a long way further from your question, so I'll go back to that question. But coming back to that, saying that, imagine that teacher or that parent or that caregiver has taken a look back into their past and has worked on healing their past and understands that what they are saying now to the future in their hands, they're touching the future, right? The children are in their care. So this future in your hands, before you speak, know what you're speaking. Is it really suitable for this, or is it coming from a different place, a bruised place or somewhere where it shouldn't come from? If that healing, which is very easy to, you look back, you upgrade your program, there are many ways, I won't get into that, that's a whole different topic. But these are easy, fixable things. When you look back, think, okay, what do I need to do? Does that suit me? No, it doesn't. I still cringe. Do I need to change it? Yes, I do. How do I change it? Step 1, 2, 3, done. Now I can work with these children as a complete person. And why do I do it? Because I owe it to the future. Because I choose to work with children, or I choose to be a parent. Therefore, I have the responsibility to look back into my past and make sure that I am a healed adult in order for the children in my care to thrive. Once that's accomplished and complete, now we can take a look at the children in the household or at the classroom, and we can identify signs of stress because that child has transitioned from one place to the other. Rather than immediately, why is he talking like that to me? Lower your voice. Do you see what I mean?
And it's less adversarial, less combative, and it's a little bit more supportive in a sense.
It is.
And really addressing, okay. But then if I look at it then from a different perspective, because what now would then need to change is the training of these teachers. Because you go to university to become a teacher,
yeah,
right? And if this is not taught in these programs and all that,
right?
I mean,
it's my dream.
I mean,
life.
It's like, how's this gonna? You know what I mean? Like how?
Yeah.
You know, that's I think the thing that is.
Yeah.
But I think what you're saying is just so spot on and just so correct.
Yeah.
And then implementing it, it's gonna have to be at the teacher educate, because not every adult has this insight that you're actually less than the majority have the insight you've just said, right? So
we adults are constantly caring for these young children to the best of our ability, no doubts, but we are on those fractions, and I'm saying go down, start from that. You've got to start from the bottom and up, because when you heal yourself, when you find joy, you spread joy. And when you spread joy, children learn, because we're no longer yelling and fighting and irritated and accusing, well, you got this and you're too slow and you're too fast and it isn't one size fits all. We need to look at the children we have in our care, in a family or in an educational setting or in a daycare. And if that adult is not fully healed, at least on a healing journey, and is joyful, it is an exhausting job. It is a draining job. Anyone in the care industry for children, whether it's parenting or teachers or childcare, these jobs are so highly demanding. You will crack if you are really not the Energizer Bunny yourself.
And you do it with a smile, with so much energy, and changing the world is amazing. So
I hope so.
Yes, of course.
I hope so. I hope so. Yeah.
A little bit more practical, I would say, maybe question. What role does routine play in helping children adjust to a new environment?
It plays a big role because, as I said earlier, we are creatures of habit. Humans, we love to repeat and repeat and repeat, right? So routine is really important. It's important, but I wouldn't stick, a little bit of everything is good. Too much of one thing is never good. So there does have to be there. You have to implement routine when you move to a new country, so, or a new place or a new school. So with your children, little tips would be something like tomorrow, this is what we're going to do, or next week, this is what we're going to do. The Wednesdays are going to be music days. The Thursdays are our sports days. When we get up in the morning and you're getting ready, that's when I'm going to be making the eggs. When we have breakfast, that's when we're, discussing. So make a routine or a schedule if you can. That's my advice to most parents and even teachers in classrooms or whatnot, that accommodate the kids, but most and foremost that suits you. It needs to be something that you really like, because if it's going to accommodate the children in your care and not even touch on how you feel, and if it's not suitable for you, it's not going to work. So it needs to work for you first and foremost, because you are the energizing bunny. And then you discuss it and mention it with the children, and together with them, they might say, oh, but I want this and that. Okay, let's adjust it together. Put it up on the wall and use it in your classroom or at home as a guide. It's never going to be 24/7 perfect, right? Because again, too much of anything won't work. But that routine gives comfort. Knowing that, oh, it's 3 o'clock, at that time, mom is picking me up. At this time, dad is, on his way back. Now we have football. Friday, we have movie night. Having this sort of consistent routine kind of holds us, because we are creatures of habit. But again, I repeat, it's important that we don't fall into the pit of becoming so structured and routine-based, because then we're pivoting away from change. And that's not something you want to do for children. I've had many parents that I work with that went too far that way. And that's no good either. It's a little bit of everything. The basic rule in life is change. It is change. Everything is going to change. Everything. Your age will change, your needs will change, your school will change, your parents will get older and they'll get sick and they'll change, your children will get older and they'll have girlfriends and they'll move out and they'll change, economy will change, countries will change, seasons will change. Basic rule in life is change. So with that as a base, then you introduce something that holds the child and holds you in a routine, so you can glide through the change.
I love this question, actually, because you touched on it a bit. It is, how important is it to maintain cultural connections to their home country while integrating into a new one?
Yeah, that is a beautiful one. Totally. And a smile on your face.
I had to ask it. This one was my burning one. I was looking at these last night. I said, this is the one I want to ask.
You know what the answer to this is? It depends on how important it is to you. That's the answer to it. Some parents, it's extremely important for them that the child knows everything about back home and where they've come from and their ancestors and and so on. Scale from 0 to 10 at 10.5 or 11. Other parents are somewhere at 5. They can know about it and it's beautiful, and okay, they're Italian and that's your root, and you can learn some Italian, but you don't have to speak it fluently. It's fine, we're traveling and so on. It's good you speak another 3 languages, and they let it go. And some parents really not at all, they just drop it, and that's a minority, that really drops it. That's usually when mom is from one country, the dad is from another country, and they're living in a third host country. So you got 3 cultures, and often the mom or the dad also has parents who are not from the same country. So to them, Earth is their country, right? I had clients at my last company at one of the branches, and I remember they had 8 nationalities in their family, and they're like direct, right? Because there's the grandma, grandpa, mom and dad. It's amazing, right? It's insane. And then there's a stepmom, and but it's beautiful. I find it absolutely gorgeous.
It's a bit the future of our globalized world.
It is,
right?
It is.
Because as people start moving around, migrating more, you have more of these kind of intercultural, relationships, families.
Totally. It's beautiful. And it's really not so much about whether it's right or wrong to do something. It has everything to do with how you feel about it. If it does make you as a parent feel the pride and connection of your roots and you want to talk about it to your child, then by all means, that's beautiful. Children thrive on learning. They love hearing, Daddy, where are you from? And what was the country like? And what language was it? And tell me more, and so on. But if the dad doesn't find any joy in talking about it, the child can also learn about it, books or whatnot. It isn't to say that one way is right or wrong, because we don't know what those parents are going through. And we don't know if their healing journey that I was talking about before, is this going to amplify it, or is this going to bring back pain? Because many people also move countries because they're fleeing situations that they don't want to remember. They just they dealt with them, it's finished, it's the past, bless it with love, let it go. And they don't want to revisit that. And that's also fine. So long as they dealt with it, that's fine.
It's almost like what I keep hearing from what you're saying, which is, I never saw this thinking about coming into this interview, is a lot of it is to be a good parent. It's almost like you need to constantly work on your own emotional journey and your own healing, and that you're kind of in balance and in check, and that you've dealt with your issues, and that's actually one of the main components of being a good parent.
Yes.
And this is something that we just don't learn growing up.
Yes.
Like, you don't hear about this. This is not taught at the school level. This is.
Can you imagine that our world will have schools one day that will teach this as a topic?
It will change
how
society.
to find joy in life and how to spread the joy in life. That's a topic. How to file for taxes when you grow up. That's a topic. How to deal with stress.
How to deal with stress. How to invest when you grow up. How to ease your transition from country to country when you move. Because we're talking globalization is coming, right? Yes.
I mean, can you imagine the topics I can think of at least 10 topics that are so essential that will make us or break us in life, and they currently don't exist. Some schools, I have to say, amazing. Some have come up with amazing extracurriculum classrooms that they try.
Extracurricular. It's not even part of the program.
I know.
And you just said the minority.
Oh yeah, but it's a start. It's a start.
Of course.
And we've got to,
there's a lot of work to be done.
It's a lot of work. And hopefully, in this lifetime, I will see it happen. I hope so. I really want to put a dent in the universe when it comes to this education and learning, parenting, evolution of humanity. Because at the moment, we're all victims of victims, and it keeps repeating. And it keeps, I see it like a washing machine cycle just going. Victims of victims of victims of victims, and we repeat and we repeat and you look at everything around us in this world. And evolution, right? Electricity, we got solar panels, this, we got that. It's moving. But what about parenting? What about, we're still stuck in methods that are
1800s.
And schooling, right?
I know.
Schooling, and then those schools that come at you like, oh yeah, we got whiteboards, interactive, we got this, that's not what I'm talking about.
iPads and laptops.
That's not what I'm talking about. Can we please just look at innovating education, innovating parenting? It is really my drive. I kid you not, Karim, I get up at night and I think about it. I'm screaming for it. I keep thinking of so many ways of how can I get this message out, because I see it. And I see it because, aside from my education, I lived it, right? I had a childhood that was a really tough one. And what breaks us, what doesn't break you makes you, right? That's
of course.
So I came up better than bitter. And then there's the educational system and the schools I went to worldwide, And so you put all of these together, plus my love for children and passion for education and learning and parenting, and I speak this language. I can see it. I look at it and it's decoding in front of me. I see things on the street and in schools I just want to communicate and say, easy. It's easy. Step 1, 2, 3. Look here. Connect the dots. It's that simple. If we give education and parenting a chance to evolve, because it's just standing still. Everybody's standing still, and when we move forward, we think we're moving forward, but we're not. New tablets in a school, that is not what.
We got the OLED display for the tablets.
Yeah.
It's a bit like, to be honest with you, growing up myself, and I look at the education system, I feel kind of like disappointed in it.
Right.
Because it's like, you didn't teach me this. You didn't teach me this. You didn't teach me investing. You didn't teach me all these things. Okay, it's like I had to learn a lot of stuff on my own, which I'm grateful that I could do, right?
Yeah.
But I can't learn everything on my own.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of things that, each individual has their limitations,
Absolutely.
So I think that's...
We didn't learn much. I mean, think about relationships. How beautiful would it be to teach children at a young age about, finding someone. What do you need? What do they need? What does it mean to be in a relationship where you support the other person and you want them to become the best version of themselves, and you don't bring your misery on them or their misery on? What is compatibility? How can you talk through years of partnership? Imagine that. Imagine the divorce rate dropping. Imagine the future with children growing up with a happy mom and dad. Imagine a course about, specifically about your physical avatar, eating healthy, exercise,
the nutrition,
being outside in nature, nutrition. What would that do for the medical, well-being of?
My eigen risico would go down big time, and my basisverzekering would go down. Because that's it, right? It's the more sick people, the more expensive it is, the more.
That's it.
So
that's it. Yeah.
Can you share any personal stories or strategies that have worked for your family or clients of yours in helping their children adjust? Any kind of
adjust to what?
Of moving abroad mainly.
Okay, so moving
new
abroad.
Environment essentially, right? From, let's say, one country to another, one continent to the other.
Okay, so there's many answers because it depends on the age. I'll start with babies. Babies, what helps tremendously is having pictures, and I mean printed pictures, of the old house or the dog or grandma or grandpa or auntie or whatever they were connected to, and hang them, like literally stick them on their crib, like where they can visually see them when they are laying down. Because although they can't speak yet, they have the missing feeling, and they may not know what's wrong. They'll cry more because they're missing something, but they don't even know what they're missing or what's going on. So photographs of the people and the environment and the pets and the garden or the places that they love, where they can visually see them. So in my old company, again, I say the first one, I was advising parents to bring in posters. We would hand them out posters and ask them to bring it back with a bunch of pictures that they print out, cut, just stick them. You don't have to write anything on it. Just draw hearts or whatever you want. Just stick and we had one by every crib, so that the child can open their eyes and see it, go to sleep and see if they're gonna stare at something, it's available there for them. That's one. The other thing is an object from home. It can be anything. So if there was a blankie back home or a cushion or something that can come to the new place, just keep it. Stuffed animal. Gotcha. That's a constant, right?
Yeah.
So that's really so important for little ones. Then the age, if you go one age up, say preschool to 6 years old, I would do the same, because they still really appreciate the pictures. They talk about them, they cry about them, they verbalize more than, of course, the younger age. And still the stuffed animals or the toy or the item that was grandma's, a scarf, something that she constantly had with her that looks like her or smells like her, or maybe a bracelet that she used to wear, whatever, something that also takes them back there, these physical items.
And when you say babies, you mean 0 to 2 years old, or?
Yes, 0 to 2.
0 to 2.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
Cool.
2, I mean 2, they're communicating more. They will point and say, Oma or Papa or Grandpa or whatnot. But the older ones really go deep into talking about it. If you go one age up,
So that's what, 2 to 5, 2 to 7, or?
No, because I said the babies and I said now preschoolers. Preschoolers, right, like the same thing as babies. That's fine. Say it's the same. Let's go up from 6 to 12. So 6 to 12, I highly recommend doing something while you talk about it. So what I mean with that If grandma used to bake amazing cinnamon cookies, then choose a day on the weekend or whatever and bake cinnamon cookies, the same recipe, with the child, and use that opportunity to talk about grandma and how much you miss her and how much you miss home and how you used to walk around the house and where you used to get the pebbles. Because so long as they're busy with their hands making something, they're going to be open to communicate. This age group between 6 and 12 doesn't want to just be seated and let's talk. It's not like grown-ups, right? To get them to talk and release and communicate would be best if you're doing an activity that is related to back home. It can be knitting, it can be whatever, painting your old house, something along that, and then you can start the communication route. So I do that really once a week when you've just moved. I definitely, first thing is if you have a child, make that poster, put the pictures on, bring the teddy, that's always with them, wherever they go. Even when you drop them at daycare, you ask the daycare to keep this on near their crib. The older children once a week, for sure, 6 to 12, once a week, an activity where we can relate to home and talk about home, if possible. If you can't, once every 2 weeks. And over time, when I say over time, you see how your child is coping and how it's going. Slowly, they're not so interested and the pain is resolving. And usually, in my experience, that's a month, 2 months, sometimes 3, but that's
So
a really...
quick.
It's so quick if you deal with it, Karim.
But if you don't, it's years of...
That's what I'm saying. You can suppress and you can depress, but it's inside. It's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. It's like you're a pressure cooker and every time you open it a little bit and close it, a little bit and close it. Well, that's going to take you a year, 2, 3 years, 4 years.
Decades.
Take the lid off, close it again. It's going to bubble up. Take the lid off, close it again. It's going to bubble up. Take the lid off. It's gone. And that creates for this healthy being that is ready to receive more life stress at school, homework, deadlines, traffic, mom, dad. I can handle it because my cup isn't full and overflowing.
It's a kind of, this is how people build resilience, if I understand correctly. This
Yeah.
is what resilience is. It's not fighting your emotions and pushing them down. Some people see that as a strength, which is wrong.
Yeah.
Actually, it's really taking off the cap, like you
It
said,
really
and letting
is.
it kind of...
It really is.
Wow.
Crying is beautiful, talking is beautiful, laughing is beautiful. It is beautiful. It is a way that our body releases its external stress that comes at it and its emotions, and there is nothing wrong with it. But as a society, we've learned to, stop the crying. You know, if I told you this before, if it's a little boy, you're a man, toughen up and all that.
Yeah,
and if it's a girl, cry baby, she cries about everything. Whatever, right? But like I said, the majority of people, even if it's not about that, they want to stop the crying because they think they're stopping your pain. And it comes, in fact, they're preventing you from moving forward because the pain has already happened. You're just crying because you're releasing the pain. So if we can just step away with our discomfort and let the other one cry, I'm here for you, I hear you, I'm sorry for your tears. It's so sad, it makes me sad. I'm almost gonna cry myself with you. Let it be. And then the other person is done and we move on.
That's very powerful. That's so simple.
That's what I'm saying. It's all so simple, Karim. It's so simple. My entire methodology is step, step, step. And it's simple. It's not an invention. It's just what it is. It is what it is. It's a matter of communicating these things. And it's a matter of parents or caregivers or teachers just listening to them. And anyone, really. You don't have to have children. I often say you don't have to have children because if you actually start now, it's even better. Because one day you might have children. And even if you never have children, you deserve this. You owe this to yourself. You have to live life to the fullest. You're here. Enjoy the journey. And it will come at you with all kinds of stresses. I know that's what life is about. It's a school. I know. So it will come at you, but it's not about whether life stress will come at you or not. It's about how you deal with the stress that comes at you. Do you fight and hold and suppress and get high blood pressure when you're older and get depressed? Or do you let go and cry and laugh and be ready for the next one to come? It's a choice. And often people are stuck with this choice because they think they don't have a choice because it's based on their upbringing. That's how mom and dad did it. That's how I learned it. I learned Spanish because they speak Spanish. I couldn't have learned Italian because they don't speak Italian, and you're telling me to choose between Italian and Spanish. Of course I'm going to choose this. I can't speak that one. That's the way... Conditioning. And I'm saying, hold for a sec, you totally can choose. You just need to stop and look back. We'll look back at what happened. See that program that your parents have programmed you with? Does it need upgrading? Does it suit you? Is it working out for you now? Are you ultimately happy and comfy and all is well? No? Okay, let's upgrade it. We don't have to blame anyone because they only did the best they can. The education that we had, the best they can. The teachers that we had, the best they can. It's not a blame or a fight. It's about understanding that the best they can was delivered, but it isn't suitable for who you are today. And therefore, as an adult, I am responsible for myself. I am going to upgrade my program. I see what was, I see what is, and I know that it's better to go that way. So I am going to learn the skills to go that way. A few months later, ta-da, life is great. And when and if you have children, their life will be impacted by you. It's that simple. But everybody's running around busy and this and that, work first, school first, this first, this. Wait, stop. Just a minute. Let's look back and let's upgrade if you need it. That's how I see it. You are such a kind soul.
I'm speechless.
You're gonna make me blush.
I need to pause. I need a break.
Okay, shall we break?
No, it's good.
Let's break.
No. I just needed to catch my whole being just was like reset. So I just need to.
Yeah.
That was.
But you see how simple it is. It's so simple. It's so simple.
So what is it you think that makes it so complicated?
What makes it complicated, Karim, is because we are now at this point where there's those two paths, right? Repeating the past or upgrading to the new me. Because we are here and we are so overwhelmed with everything, right? Work, stress, weather, children, school, not children, relationship, this, that, economics, blah, blah, blah. There's so much going on. And we are not yet upgraded to this. We're not yet aligned to this new way that we want to be. So we just end up going in circles. We repeat what our parents did. We repeat what our teachers did. We act based on our background. We act based on our injuries. If I can't handle screaming, I tell you not to scream. And on and on and on it goes. We meet people and we attract people and relationships that remind us of our past. We repeat that trauma again. And it's on and on and on. It's like a tornado that's going on. It may be a big one. It may be a small one. It doesn't matter the size. I'm just saying, halt. What makes it so hard for people is this. There's not a moment that we stop and just, am I happy like this? Is this the life I envision myself? Am I okay? How do I feel about my life now, about where I am, about my job, about my partner, my kids if I have kids, about this country I'm in, about my past and my future? How do I feel? What's going on? And if that comes out to be somewhere between 0 and 10, down, what you doing? Stop.
Yeah, and it's more effort and more painful to stay in this merry-go-round of habit than it is to actually address it.
Yeah.
And I think that's
it's an addiction. It's a habitual thing. You can call it an addiction because for many of us people, we'd rather, this is so typical human, we'd rather stay in the cycle of abuse, whether we are abusing ourselves emotionally, whatever, than to step out because the unknown is petrifying. Rather stay in this horrific situation.
But the unknown can be a good thing.
But the unknown could be a very good thing.
And usually in this path, it is a good thing.
Totally. It's just that we don't speak it because our parents didn't teach us that. But bless our parents, they couldn't possibly teach us anything they didn't know. They had a worse childhood than we did. So we're not going to point fingers at them. We have now the power, energy, time, and knowledge to move our being and evolve further. We have that now. So this is what we need to be focusing on more than anything, more than solar panels, more than, humanity is so busy finding ways to evolve into this green planet and this and that. And I love it. I have nothing bad to say about it. But I'm just saying, You are humanity. It's you guys are the humans.
Yeah.
It has to start somewhere.
So you got the kids. So now we talked a lot about when the kids are here.
Yeah.
And I mean, what you just said is just beyond powerful. If I had a word that was more powerful than powerful, I would use that word. But I don't know that word, and I'm a native English
You
speaker.
are so kind. You're
So-
making me blush.
Yeah,
Coffee.
it's
Thank
just-
you for your kindness.
It's just, I think the knowledge you have is like, it's next level. And let's say now we rewind to before the move.
Yes.
So,
yeah.
you know, 2 kids, mommy and daddy, or even 1 kid, whatever, maybe 3 kids, who knows, not the
Yeah.
number of kids. What advice would you give to parents preparing for an international move
Yes.
with young children or even teens?
Yes.
You know, so we're there, we're back in wherever, and we're coming to the Netherlands, or we're moving to Switzerland, or whatever. What advice would you give parents preparing for that international
I love that question. Absolutely love it. So, in preparation, the talking about it and the learning about it, right? Say we are moving to, I don't know.
Dubai.
Dubai it is. Say
Yeah.
we're moving to Dubai. So I will involve the children. Of course, immediately I will be telling the children, we are moving to Dubai, daddy or the whomever or I got a job there and we're gonna explore this new country. Let's learn about it. Let's know about it. What do you think we would find out? And then starts this beautiful journey of looking on internet, in books, about their infrastructure, about their weather, the biome, what kind of reptiles live there in the desert, what kind of activities can you do on the weekends, what kind of...
You're basically building the kids' excitement.
You're building excitement and you're building this, you're supporting this wanting to know more and explore and go somewhere else on this planet that is home to all of us, rather than supporting the fear of the unknown. You're supporting the exploration and the journey of finding out more. And I say this, so I mean, it's easy to do if you go on internet or books or start talking about it. So it's lovely, it's very easy to do. But what I have to stress about this the most is the way that it is being said and done. Because you see, now I'm talking about it, I myself got excited about Dubai because now I'm like, ooh, the reptiles. Like, I really got myself going.
Yeah.
But if mom is going to be saying, yeah, let's learn about Dubai, we're moving, and yeah, there's, you know, they have a very nice desert, and, you know, if mom is going to look so stressed and worried, okay, children,
There's no water, what are we going to do? Where are we going to live? Yeah.
It's so important. I'm back again. Healed adults, strong children. Broken adults, right? Yes. So it's so important, because if I am so worried about Dubai, I need to first do my work. Why am I worried about going to Dubai? What is it? Let me look back again. Was it my mom? Was it my dad? Was one of them very anxious about going to new places? Did I ever live somewhere where something? I'm gonna find that out. And if I can, maybe I won't, but I'm gonna try to connect the dots. If I can, maybe I can't, but I'm going to ask myself, is this serving me well right now? No, okay, it's not serving me well. Therefore, what would serve me well? The excitement and the wanting to discover a new place. Okay, I'm going to now practice doing this while I enthuse about it with the children, because quite often when you do this with kids, you heal yourself, right? It's a dance. When I'm working with children, I'm working with myself. It is a healing journey. So the way you bring it to the child and the way you enthuse about it is what's gonna get you there. Not because children don't listen to what we say. They learn by what we do, not what we say, right? They're constantly watching your behavior and they're learning about the world around them by the behavior of the adults.
Oh, this is a good one. What role does social interaction with local children play in easing the transition?
Oh yeah, that is a very good question. I do agree. I like that. It does play a beautiful role. Of course, it depends where you are in which country, right? Because it depends on the culture. Some countries, when you enter, the culture is very loving and wanting to see the expats and wanting to meet the new child and wanting to learn more. And there are other cultures where when you enter that country, they're more like, okay, you are not one of us, so there's a distance. It depends on the country you are entering, right? I mean, I can give examples of countries, but I won't say the names of the countries. But it depends on the culture of the place that you are in. Regardless of that, the child should really feel stable and okay with the move and ready to receive new experiences. That's the most important thing. So whether the children in the neighborhood are playing with him or not is a secondary thing, as long as he feels good about this move. Because keep in mind, there's the school and there's the neighborhood. Often expats, when we move, the child goes to a British school, international school, German school, French school, whatever. That is not the culture of that country. That is an entity on its own, right? So then you have the child in, say, in Spain, but he's going to the British school. So he's making friends in the British school, and that's fantastic.
But not Spanish.
That is not Spanish friends in his neighborhood. You see, so they are completely two environments. And that's why I was talking initially about this environment. You never know how, well, we know Spanish people are wonderful and most people are wonderful, but I'm just saying, imagine he's there and the Spanish children are not playing with him because they don't know how to speak English and they feel a little bit like, who is this? That's fine if the child feels strong within himself about this move because he's got friends in the British school or the international school and he's building on that. However, if that neighborhood has children who are really intrigued by this newcomer and you support and feed that interaction, oh, that's magnificent. That is magnificent because then you got the friends that are in that school culture and then you got the friends that are in this country's culture. That is beautiful. And I lived those two. I lived them my whole childhood. It was very easy when you are in a school to right away because everyone is in your shoes. International schools, but can you or can you not make friends with people from the country you are in? And it depends on how long your family's staying there as well. And what kind of clubs you are joining after school. Are they within the school or are they within the neighborhood? Or are they... So it's yeah. But it does play an important role. And if you can have the neighborhood kids interact with your child, and that's a bonus. Mm-hmm. But if it's not there, that's fine because the school itself usually will support the situation. There are parents who move and put their children in schools that are of that host country because they plan to stay there for 5-10 years, maybe longer. Then that's easy.
So you don't, okay, got it. So basically, it really, you're kind of going with the flow of the kid in a sense.
Yes.
Because, okay. I would have thought, oh, it's good to make the kid not feel left out, so he or she should be with local kids and kind of blend in. But if the kid isn't not into it, don't force the kid.
That would be your anxiety from your childhood. That would not be his. Because many children feel completely and utterly at peace and completely satisfied not having to interact with someone external to their house environment. If they already got the school, they're already saturated in the fight, and that's okay.
Are there any, I think you touched on this, but are there any age-related factors that make moving easier or more difficult for children?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Teenage years. If you can avoid moving during teenage years, please do, if you can, right? If you can. And I say this because families that move with younger children and older children and so on, you can always, transition is always difficult. It is what it is. And you learn how to cope with it, and it's beautiful. It has its bonuses, it has its negatives, whatnot. But when you're a teenager, one of the most important developmental stages in your life is how to socialize on a level where you can joke and really get each other. You're not a child, you're not an adult, you're testing the field. This is when your self-esteem is really coming together. This is when the boys, they want to be cool, and the girls, they want to be girls. And to have to yank the teenager out of that environment that they're just starting to perfect or working on, and put them in a completely new environment in Japan or China, where a joke from England would be an insult somewhere else. Let's just say it's really hard on teenagers, very difficult. Working with teenagers in general is a bucket of its own, because you need to really be careful. Here are, emotions and hormones, and there's a lot of changes that are happening. The development of a teenager is very different than the other ages. So to add that to the bucket is a really big challenge. I would avoid it if you can. If you can't, there's ways to make it easier or better. But that's a whole session on its own. This is when you want to make friends that will last for life, right? This is when you want to, have a job after school maybe, and really feel like an adult and speak the language and be accepted where you are and blend in, and to be removed and placed somewhere else completely. You have to see it like a flower or a tulip or a bulb, right? If it's in the bulb stage, you can take it anywhere. You can take it in your bag from country to country to country, it's fine. And even when you plant it and it's still in the nursery stage, you can still provide that environment no matter where you are in the world. Even in Canada, if at home you have the lights and whatever, it's fine. But when you put it in the ground and now it's going to grow outside, it's ready. It's about to blossom, and you go and yank it then and go to the Middle East and put it in the soil. But again, if you wait till it's blossomed and complete and whatever, and then you wait for the flower to do its own thing and then take the bulb again and travel, it will still make it. Do you see what I mean? Yeah. It is just that one stage.
It's a crucial developmental stage,
yes,
essentially, that needs to be taken care of.
This is when we need to root.
But what other things can parents do to help children deal with missing friends and family from their home country, on top of what you've already mentioned?
Oh, for nowadays, it's so beautiful to be able to call, right? The calling, FaceTime and everything, it's fantastic. It's so soothing. It's excellent. I see children do it all the time, calling family and friends somewhere else. And then you have FaceTime, you're right in front of each other. And, this is one thing that's so beautiful about being an expat and an international person traveling around, because families that travel and people that travel tend to have a closer connection with friends and family than ones who are in the same country. Because when granny and grandpa are around the corner, you may see them once a month, but when you're traveling, it's every week on the iPad. And same with friends, right? You go and live by a second house and everybody's there every weekend and visiting and whatnot. But when you're in the same country, I'll see you next weekend, and next weekend never comes. Somehow it becomes quality over quantity, and the quality grows. So I would definitely say use these fabulous FaceTime and calls, technology. Talk about it, and again, no suppressing emotions. Do not suppress anything. Suppressing the need for hugs, no good. Suppressing the need for laughter, no good. Suppressing the need for crying, no good. It's just like you would never suppress the need to drink water.
Yeah, so simple.
It's that simple. You have a need, basic need, meet the basic need.
How do you handle school transitions, especially if the educational system is very different?
Yeah, that's beautiful as well, because it's very similar to moving countries, right? Because you're going from a complete different system to you're switching systems completely. So if possible, there has to be the steps that I would apply to moving countries. First, the introduction bit. We are going to be changing from here to here. If there's an explanation to why that is, it would be great to say it. When you say we're moving from Germany to Italy because I have a new job, or dad has a new job, or just explain why. This rational bit helps. So when you're moving school to school, you can explain we are changing schools and systems because we're moving to this country, or because we need to learn this system in the future, we might be moving to that country. Because of that, explain the rational thought behind it, so the child doesn't think that you're yanking them out of something and throwing them somewhere else. Like, why? This why has to be clarified.
But in terms of they're in a school, right? And that's great. So they're doing their schooling, whatever. And now you're like, okay, I'm going to take something I'm familiar with. Canada and the Netherlands. Like, those are two countries that I'm super familiar with.
Yeah.
I've lived in both of them.
Yeah.
And let's say I'm going to take a kid from a Canadian school,
Yeah.
right, where they have to learn French, they have to learn English. It's by law across the whole country.
Yeah.
You're going to put them in a Dutch school. There is no French, or it's very little. Usually the kids learn German or English
Yeah.
and different language. And how, that transition is next level. And the
Yeah.
kid probably doesn't speak Dutch.
Yeah, yeah.
So then they're behind and
Yeah, honestly, I am not for that. Straightforward. I am
Okay.
not for that at all.
Okay.
This is a very, very heavy shock to the system of a child, especially because he has just arrived in a new country. So already the whole environment has been shaken. So what I would do is, if that is the goal or the aim of the parents, fine. We take it, we shall make it happen, but I would extend the line between arriving the country and getting to that point. We need to slowly work with the child to get there. I would definitely, and when I say that, I mean things like, if you arrive the Netherlands and the child doesn't speak a word of Dutch, we're going to watch Dutch cartoons, we're going to join Dutch, I don't know, game clubs or something. We are going to try to learn a little bit of Dutch even if there's school, if it's not during the summer and school is running, wait. Don't go to school yet. Improve their Dutch a little bit at home first, a little bit. Give some sort of support. Make sure that they are already feeling held in the environment they are in, and then they can go to the school and do the extra push there with the extra teacher or the class or whatever. Going from black to white for any of us, regardless of our age, background, or culture,
brutal.
it causes so much damage. Nothing can cope with that. Nothing. Let's take the tulip from Holland and throw it in Saudi Arabia. It's dead in a day. You can't go from black to white in one day. You
I
can't
could
do
just see
that.
you plant a tulip in the desert.
You know, I don't. It's just, I'm just putting it as it is.
Yeah,
That
of
is
course.
a shock to the system. That is, and the thing is, I've worked as well with enough people who have done this and children who have done this. And I get this, oh, look at him, but he's now fine. He speaks Dutch. He's doing great. He's blah, blah, blah. Yes, but there are certain aspects to his personality that have been affected, that he needs to go back and revisit and upgrade his program, because he has gone through a really, really tough, rough patch during that.
Creating a home away from home, how do you do that to make your kids feel more comfortable?
Oh, yeah, I love the home away from home. That was my logo, right? Home away
Why
from
do you think I
home.
asked you the question?
Yeah, oh gosh, I love it. So it's really important that when you change environments because of the stress of the transition and the move, that the environment is homey as much as possible. So the house you move into or the apartment you move into, have things from home if you can. And if you can't, go to a shop or a thrift shop or whatever. Get things that your child wants to have in the room, that you want to have in the living room. Green plants, wooden items, soft things, the homey environment. We all need to belong somewhere. And if we can just have a home that holds us and feeds us during transition, that's brilliant. I discuss this with schools and childcare centers as well, because there's this belief that it's all about color, right? You enter a school building and it looks like a
blue,
hospital.
the pink, the
blue and
yeah.
red and right, exactly.
That stresses me out. So I wonder, it must stress the kid out. I get stressed when I walk. I'm like,
Yeah, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
The colors are so overstimulating, and you have to be there 8 hours a day in this childcare center or school where the colors are everywhere. And if we pay attention to the background and let it be as soft as a house with soft colors, more like a house rather than a fast food chain, children stay there day after day for hours. It needs to be calming colors, soothing colors, soft colors. Let the bright colors come from the kids' toys or sweaters or bags, but don't add more to it. You see quite often teachers will hang the art of the kids everywhere, on the windows, on the walls, everywhere you go in a classroom, and you're like, whoa, This is also something to pay attention to, because we need to calm down, not overstimulate, so that the knowledge can come across. Our system needs to be in a calm, soothed place in order to learn. We learn when we feel at home. Children learn when they feel at home.
what are some common mistakes you see that parents make when helping their children adjust to life abroad? What are the common mistakes you see?
I think that by far, I am sad to say, the biggest one is not letting the children cry and be upset about the challenges that they are facing. So there's the suppressing the emotions of the child. I say cry because that's the most one I see, but there's also anger and irritation. So we release discomfort when the outside world is stressful and we're dealing with a very difficult situation. The children are moving and they're really stressed. They show it by either crying or being too irritated, quickly. You do something, they're irritable, or they get explosively angry, right? So it's any of these emotions will all come up in order to deal with what's happening. And sadly, it is watching parents suppress those. Hey, why do you raise your voice like that? This is unacceptable. What do you know? It's the best school that there is, and we have a nice house with a nice garden. We even bought you a cat. What's the problem now? This sort of thing, where the parent doesn't understand, like, I've done everything to make this so good for you, and you still have to cry. You also can do nothing to make it good. They still have to cry. You can do anything. They still have to cry because they're human.
Yeah, it's what the kid needs.
That's what we need. And some of them can't cry immediately. They need to first get angry in order to reach the crying. They need to scream and yell and get explosive. And then you say, come give me a hug. And then they start crying. So to stop the anger burst before the crying comes, this is that pressure cooker. It's such a dangerous thing to do. It's about to explode and you're going to close it again. It's about to explode. And you see those children in schools everywhere. Everywhere I go, they're in after school care programs, and they're explosive, anything. They just want to explode. And the minute they want to explode, the adults want to push it down and stop this behavior and calm this behavior. But the only way is to let it be. And where can you let it be? Better place than home. It should be at home. It should be in your arms. You want your child to run to you when they're in that state, not run away from you when they're in that state. That's what we want. We want children to come to us when they feel they're in trouble and they don't know anymore what to do, not run away from us and hide it because they're in trouble. That is by far the biggest one I see, yeah, unfortunately.
And not once did you say medication.
I don't want to talk about medication. I think that I have seen enough children being medicated, and the medication help them calm down and help the situation temporarily, but it will never deal with the cause. So we're looking at this pressure cooker, and so you bought an extra lid now with stronger locks to keep the lid from going. It still has to explode. So, it isn't the answer, is what I'm trying to say. The answer is in allowing us to express our emotions, because emotions, just like any other basic need that we have, must be met. When we're hungry, we eat. When we're thirsty, we drink. When we're tired, we sleep. When we're upset or happy, we laugh and we cry.
What's so funny is you mentioned emotions, which is the cry, and it's fantastic you say this. You mentioned the anger and the cry. Yeah. But are there other emotions or signs that you can see in your kid that they're in distress? Because you mentioned the crying and the anger a lot. And I think those are really easy to see.
Yes.
Like,
So I love this. Oh, Karim, I love this. So you'll see them biting their nails, nail biting. Yeah. That is definitely, it becomes a habit, but it's a stress habit, right? It's coming from suppressing something, right? You also see this sort of thing, the shaking, or you can't sit still, shaking one leg, or holding a pencil and tapping the pencil on the table repeatedly, or chewing at the end of the pencil constantly, these sort of things where you're just trying to release, but in small, you can see from the motion that it is that lid trying to go, right? The start. Then there are basic ones that you're born with, right? And the ones we are born with that clearly are in us. That's, you're not born with a pencil in your hand shaking. Yes. So the ones you're born with are shaking. You see kids, sometimes they do shake. They enter a classroom, there's too many kids, they're afraid and they shake. When you have to present a lecture, you might be shaky. Yeah. Your hands start to shake. That's the next one, sweating. Sweaty palms, sweaty armpits, sweaty face, sweaty skin, or elevated breath, you know, gagging for air in between. Panic attacks, and yawning. Some kids yawn a lot, non-stop.
What?
Non-stop. You see they're always, and it's not that they're lacking sleep. I know this because of the daycares that I had, you know, put together in the Netherlands. The little ones, some you can see their sleep is enough, but there's the constant yawning. When you yawn, this motion of, you know, release that we do kind of releases stress, right?
So it's their coping mechanism.
It's a coping mechanism. So these are good things to see. In little kids, you can see there would be bedwetting for sure. Bedwetting is a big one. And then the constant interrupted sleep, constantly waking up at night. So these are
all really clear signs.
Yes, yes.
In terms of cultural norms, how do cultural differences in social norms and expectations of, you know, the new country influence, or the changes influence a child's behavior and their adaptation process?
It depends on their age, Karim. It really depends on their age. And it also depends on how saturated and complete they feel and how ready they are. So a child that is 7 years old who feels completely and utterly saturated with love and joy and his family and everything is okay, they go into this new culture, and to them, the new cultural things and foods and music, and it's all extra and new and adventurous and fun. And so they influence them beautifully. But a child who is the same age, coming with a family who's anxious and worried, and he's insecure, and he's got all kind of issues that he's dealing with, and he's overwhelmed, and then there's this new culture and new food and new things, and it acts as an extra overload stimuli, and that takes them even further down. Okay. So it really depends on the seed you're dealing with, and hence why it takes me back to saying it's so important before you move that you do the prep with the child, your child,
like we said,
and your inner child. Both of you need to prepare before that move, so that when we do move, we arrive this new culture as a whole, as complete as we can be, and look at it as an adventure and a new beginning, so we can handle the challenges in a more fun or joyous way. So turning lemon into lemonade.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for this awesome interview. I'm just impressed with what you've achieved and just the level of talent. Thank you so much, Robbie.
Thank you.